I'm Vietnamese, but I didn't grow up with a culture. No Vietnamese language, no Vietnamese food at home, no stories, no celebrated Lunar New Year. Just a name and a face and a culture I didn't know anything about. If you've ever felt disconnected from your culture, your Vietnamese roots, then this is a video for you. You see, I was born in the UK. I was brought up English, football, Oasis, the Premier League, drinking, pints in the pub, bangers and mash, roast dinner. But I knew something inside me was different. The way I spoke, I was English. But the way I looked, I was Asian. I was Vietnamese. You see, my mum was adopted from Vietnam, from my lovely, wonderful English grandparents. So naturally, she didn't understand the language. She knew English. My mother tongue was English. So I didn't get the culture. I didn't get the food. I didn't get that way of being Vietnamese. On the flip side, my dad was a Vietnamese boat person. He came to England. My grandparents, my ông bà nội, my aunties, my uncles came over via boat. A very dangerous journey, a risky journey to provide a better life for their children, my aunties and uncles, my dad. And now my generation, being born in England with Vietnamese roots, it's kind of gone full circle. Now I want to explore what Vietnam is about and what Vietnamese culture is about. So after my parents split, I didn't really grow up with my dad. I grew up with my mum. And so even though I had Vietnamese heritage on both sides of my family, I didn't really have Vietnamese culture in my life. See, growing up, that left me confused. People would see me and think I would understand Vietnamese. They'd ask me things about Vietnam, or what's this word in Vietnamese? And I didn't know how to respond. I was kind of embarrassed going to restaurants, thinking I was going to mispronounce phở, or bánh cuốn, bánh mì, phở bò đặc biệt. Vietnamese waiter or waitresses would laugh at me. So when people would meet me, people would ask, "Where are you from?" And I'd say, "Oh, from England." Yeah, and then eventually I'll get to the point when I say, "Where are you really from?" And I couldn't be bothered to argue, so I just said, I'm from Vietnam. You know, but by saying that, I kind of felt fake. Like, it was a fake. It didn't feel genuine. Like I was claiming this fake identity of being Vietnamese, when really I was kind of English inside, but like on the outside Vietnamese. Even in Vietnamese restaurants when I was younger, I didn't even want to say any Vietnamese at all. And when they asked me where you're from, and I said England, but they said where you're really from, and I said Vietnam. Kind of embarrassing, you know. Đến từ Việt Nam à, không nói tiếng Việt, em tên là gì? And I'll be like, my name is Đặng Văn Nhã. But as I got older, something shifted. I began to miss something I'd never had. I started asking myself, can I reconnect with my culture even though I didn't grow up with it? Can I reconnect with Vietnamese heritage, Vietnamese culture? And slowly I started saying, yes I can. I started learning the basic phrases, self-taught. I was watching YouTube videos, I was listening to karaoke. I even went to Vietnam when I was 24 and lived in Hanoi for 6 months. I didn't know much Vietnamese. I knew how to count and a few words, but really I learned myself. I went out and I spoke to locals. I spoke to the các chú và các cô, and that's how I started learning Vietnamese. I spoke to taxi drivers. I was having the same conversation over and over and over again. But the good thing about taxi drivers is you're never going to see them again, so that's a good way of practicing your Vietnamese. I started cooking Vietnamese food at home. I know how to make thịt kho, phở bò, gà xào, sa ớt, đậu phụ cà chua. Food really helps with connecting with your culture. No, I used to think identity was like all or nothing. Like you either had the culture or you didn't. You were either fluent in a language or you were fake. But now I see it differently. You don't have to grow up with a culture to care about it. You don't have to be fluent in a language to be curious. And you don't have to be authentic to feel like you belong. Culture isn't a test, it's a relationship. And sometimes relationships start a lot later in life. And that's okay. If you're watching this and you feel like you're not Vietnamese enough, you're not alone. I feel you. I know how you feel. If you ever felt like a fraud or an outsider in your own heritage, I see you. But don't forget this, you still belong, you can still learn, you can still reconnect. It's never too late in life for anything. No, there's no right way to be Vietnamese.
And there's no deadline for like discovering who you are. And you don't need permission from anyone either. You just need your curiosity and that love from your heart to try and work out what your culture is. Look, anyway, this is me. I'm learning. I'm trying to grow as a person. I'm reconnecting with my culture, my heritage, Nam Van Hoa. If you're on a similar journey, let me know. Comment below. Tell me if you're Vietnamese. No, I really hope this video makes it out to other Vietnamese people. Maybe gốc Việt nước Mỹ, or gốc Việt Canada, Việt kiều in Ben Ang, nước Anh, or wherever it may be. Hopefully it reaches the right audience. Cảm ơn bạn rất nhiều xem video của mình. Hẹn gặp lại nhé.